I mean, yes, I understand your concern, no, but we're trying to address a problem by creating a structure that will address the problem. Go ahead.
Yes,
And
po.
yes, and not to duplicate.
Yes po. Yes po, Mr. Chair, with the current government optimization program naman po, we can review and study po yung mga existing offices, and then if there is really a gap, we can strengthen naman po kung pwede na po siyang malodge under the CDA. Ganun po. And on
That's under the CDA, not under the DA?
I mean po yung strengthen po yung function either ng DA or CDA para ma-address po yung gaps po.
Thank you.
And then on Section 28 on the local development hubs and yung provision for cool market po. We note po na may kadiwa na rin po, kadiwa program na rin po sa existing po ngayon. So baka lang po yun, to align or harmonize po to, with this po. And on Section 23, the creation of Co-op Climate Resilience Fund. We note po the existing policy of the economic managers on the creation of other funds other than the GA po. And currently, we have a NDRMF po under the GA. To-address naman po yung mga disaster-related po natin na programs or projects. So, that is all po, Mr. Chair, for SB 389. On the SB 1182 on the creation of strengthening the National Agriculture and Fisheries Extension System, we note po na yung proposal po na yung mga agri-extension workers will be provincial government employees. But the bill proposes po na yung salaries po nila will be subsidized by the national government. We note po yung local autonomy po ng LGUs and the possible fiscal implication po nito sa atin on the part of the national government considering the Mandanas ruling po. And yun po yung incentives and awards. And on Section 30 and 31 po, there are earmarking of funds din po on SB 1182. So we respectfully suggest po that the funds for the purpose be under the GA and shall be subject to the usual budget process po and authorization by Congress. And finally po, on the proposed creation of the Agriculture Commission po, we defer po to the wisdom of Congress if there is the need to create po as such. And we note naman po na currently same naman din po yung like sa executive director na compared po sa EDCO. Thank you po, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Well, with respect to the Agricom, it's pretty much in the run-up to the 30th anniversary of the Agriculture and Fisheries Modernization Act. How modernized are we? So pretty much that's the rationale behind this. No, 2027 will be 30 years of AFMA from 1997, and how far have we gone? I would immediately say not far. In fact, parang nagkabaliktad pa. No? Dati, agriculture exports natin, imports was $10 billion in 2015. Now it's $20 billion 10 years later. Diba? So anyway, but thank you, Attorney Baraan. We now have the DOF. How are you related to the former Undersecretary Adriano?
Mr. Chair, he's my father.
Okay. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. the DOF is still finalizing its position. With regards, sir, with the agriculture co-ops, we're still finalizing the fiscal impact of the expansion of the definition of agri-co-op, particularly found in section 3B and 6, and the increase in the threshold on the reserve fund to 100 million for agri-co-ops. Now, sir, and kasi there was a comment on the TIN,
Sure, go ahead.
if I may. So, the members' TIN are crucial in monitoring and validating cooperative transaction with their members, especially for co-ops above the 10 million thresholds. Kasi if their transaction is with non-members, hindi na po mag-a-apply yung mga exemptions sa income, VAT, etc. But nevertheless, the DOF, together with the BIR, is reviewing its processes, sir. And then we will submit our final position on with regards to the TIN. And sir, also related to co-ops, this can be found in the BSF, and we actually report the tax incentive availment of cooperatives. From 2018 to 2022, just for information of everyone, the average, we call it tax expenditure related to co-ops, is 27.1 billion pesos every year. Now, sir, on the bills...
Sorry, 27.1 billion are taxes forgone?
Yes, sir, that's the estimate. Tax expenditure related to co-ops.
Okay.
It can be found in the BSF.
Okay, because of the incentives and the exemptions, your computation is that about 27 billion is not collected
Yes, sir, on average.
annually
Yes.
on average. Okay, thank you.
Now, with regards to the bills with strengthening the extension system, so again, sir, we are still finalizing our position, particularly on the creation of PAFEA. I think the DBM mentioned some of our concerns as well, and the incentives and benefits of agri-extension workers, and the appropriation and particularly the retaining of earnings of PAFEA. So we're still finalizing, but I would like to note kasi our colleague from ATI mentioned of the policy changes that affected that have an impact to the provision of agriculture extensions, particularly the Mandanas-Garcia ruling. We all know the Mandanas-Garcia ruling in 2019 basically increased the share of the local governments to the national tax allotment. Before the Mandanas-Garcia ruling, ang share po ng LGU was only from the collection of the BIR. With the Mandanas-Garcia ruling, it now includes the collection of BOC and other tax collected by other departments, such as, for instance, sir, yung motor vehicle user charge, it's a tax collected by LTO. May share na rin po dun yung local government. I would like to note po, based on DBM data, in 2019, the NTA was 575 billion pesos. In 2022, yung first year of implementation of the Mandanas-Garcia ruling, kasi based siya sa 3 years fiscal proceeding, it went up to 959 billion. In 2025, this year, it's at 1,034 billion. And in 2026, it's projected at 1,190 billion. So, ang laki na po nung jump nung share po ng NTA because of Mandanas-Garcia ruling. And as mentioned by our colleagues, the provision of the agricultural extension is a devolved function po to the LGUs. Yun lang po. Yun lang po yung pwede ko po masabi for now. Sir, and then one more thing pala, sir, kasi a side comment lang, sir.
Go ahead, go
Our
ahead.
colleague mentioned the importance of a measurement of the per capita consumption, particularly food. I fully agree on that. But if for the consideration of the chair, maybe we should also look at the optimal per capita consumption of each food item. Kasi I think everyone knows, mataas pa rin po yung ating malnutrition statistics and stunting statistics. And this is because the Filipinos are under-consuming some of the nutritional, basically yung iba pang mga nutrients. Basically, the conclusion is that the Filipinos are over-consuming carbohydrates for all income deciles, but under-consuming the other nutrients. So, if we can have, para sa
You know,
question,
yes.
sir.
there's a correlation between rice consumption and income levels. The lower the income, the higher the rice consumption. The higher the incomes, they graduate from rice and move towards pork, beef, etc. So there is a direct correlation between poverty and the nutrition. No? Kasi malakas makabusog yung kanin, tapos mura. Di ba? Well, relatively, mas mura kasi sa karne. So, of course, the net effect of that is tataas yung diabetes, tataas yung incidence ng kidney failure. And dahil nga, di ba, pagka mataas ang sugar levels, naapektuhan ang kidney performance, eventually, nauwi sa dialysis, etc., and kidney failure. So may mga ganung concerns, no? Okay. Anything else?
Yun lang, sir. Maraming salamat po.
Yes, thank you, Yusek Adriano. Actually, may question ako for DBP, no? You don't have to answer it now, but we'd like to get your portfolio on the how much of your loanable amounts to Agra goes to co-ops. You don't have to answer it now, but if you have the answer, why not? No. And what is the if based on a position paper you will be submitting to us, what is the profile of successful co-ops and they're able to precisely avail of land banks? How they call it, loan portfolio for agri and fisheries, no? I understand wala pang double digit ang pinauutang ng land bank sa agri and fisheries based on your loanable portfolio, and that more is parang mas mura atang bayaran na lang yung fine kaysa sa magpautang, no? So we'd like to see the correlation between an organized co-op and its ability and its being creditworthy based on your data. No? I'd like to think, I mean, off the top of my head, that a more organized co-op is a creditworthy borrower. No? And therefore, precisely why you want to strengthen cooperative development in the agri sector, so that in part you address the fact that you're not loaning enough to the agri sector when the land bank is supposed to be a agri bank. So if that position paper can be submitted by the DBP, and of course your comments on the bill itself. The AKAP. Go ahead.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Chairman, Senator Kiko. This is the good side of AKAP, not the bad side. Yung ayuda, iba yun. Just for the information of everybody. I'm not supposed to be here, Chairman, but si Marcy Puriasin is supposed to be here. Tinawagan ako po na ako lang pupunta dito kasi nagrarally sila ngayon sa Quirino kasi walang bumibili sa palay nila.
Yes.
Ang bilihan lang doon is 8 pesos, 10 pesos, not even 12 pesos. So lugi sila. Sabi nila, I will join the protest rally dito sa province of Quirino. This is the reason why I am here.
Yes, thank you for joining us, Chris.
Yeah. For the second point, Mr. Chair, I would like to put across to everybody that AKAP is a new coalition of large and major federation of cooperatives in the country. It is called Alliance of Cooperatives Against Hunger and Poverty. So if you know NATCO, if you know MASPIC, if you know PCCO, if you know Pakisama and all these organizations, they are part of the umbrella of this platform. And our advocacy, Mr. Chair, is really to address hunger and poverty. So this is the moment. Insofar as we are concerned, this is the moment because we really appreciate very much the proposed Senate bills that is now on the table, and we would like to be very